Okay, so we'll start in a minute just to see. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another webinar. Today's topic is invoice reconciliation. I'm Veronica, a marketing specialist here at Nordoon, and I'll be your host today. So what we'll do today is build a custom chatbot. This will be done through our friend Tyler, and see how we can, with the help of AI agents, reconcile invoices. So for that, we'll be using Nordoon platform and the chatbot interface. So first, let me tell you a little bit about Nordoon. So Nordoon is an automation platform that uses AI agents and LLMs to automate data processing, operations, and workflows for supply chains. So today we will move from the manual invoice reconciliation to automated process. So we'll do the whole setup. This will include, as I've mentioned before, a chatbot from Microsoft, more specific Copilot, and AI agents from Nordoon. And we will show you how they work both separately and together. I am very pleased to say that we are once again joined by a very special guest, Microsoft Power Platform Specialist, Tyler Wasson. Every one of you that's been on our webinars before is well familiar with Tyler. Tyler will today guide us on how to build the chatbot using Microsoft Copilot. Tyler, welcome back. Welcome back. It's a pleasure to have you again here with us.
Thank you, Veronica. It's great to be back. And yeah, thanks for that introduction. So I'll just give a few more details. So I've been working with the Power Platform since 2015, since the first application Power BI launched. And then 2 years ago, I started my own IT consulting company called Waytech Solutions that focuses on all the areas of the Power Platform. I also have my own blog and YouTube channel called TWA Tech that provides how-to posts and videos on the Power Platform. And it's great to be back, and I'm happy to speak here again today.
We're always really happy to have you. So let me go a little bit over the agenda for today. So what we'll cover in this live stream webinar is first a quick overview of the problem that we are solving. And then Tyler will explain how to build the AI chatbot for invoice reconciliation using Microsoft Copilot, and how to get that chatbot to communicate with the Nordoon platform. So they will be connected and they will be talking to each other, because in the Nordoon is where the processing will happen, and the chatbot will sort of be the interface communicating for us in our name with Nordoon platform. And then we will have a live demo of how to customize the agent to access invoice data, retrieve and verify purchase order details, do matching looking for discrepancies, and prepare in the end kind of a summary / report that will be ready to deliver to the chatbot. And at the end, we'll have a Q&A session. So you can leave all of your questions in the comments or in the chat. So wherever you're watching this from, either if it's on LinkedIn or if it's on YouTube, just leave the comments there and we'll come back to them at the end. So let's talk about a challenge that arises from doing invoice reconciliation manually. So from our experience with supply chain customers, manual invoice reconciliation creates a major bottleneck for internal teams. So one thing that happens is that employees have to manually cross-check hundreds or even thousands of invoices against purchase orders or delivery notes or internal records or end. That takes a lot of time and leads to quite a few errors. Now, that is not the only thing. Accounts payable teams also get swamped because there's too many details and too much operational time gets wasted on this. Errors, as you can imagine, are inevitable, and they lead to delayed or even incorrect payments, which affect cash flow and, of course, relationships with the suppliers. Now, another thing is that getting unstructured data from your suppliers lowers your own data quality. So you have to also be very mindful of the outside data that you're getting. Now, let's see how AI agents help with that. They help by being able to process high volume of invoices. They automate 2, 3, 4-way matching of invoices, and the accuracy is extremely high. It's over 99%. And they send real-time updates to internal systems such as ERPs and suppliers. Now, what we'll be building here today is this automated flow where you will be communicating. I will first tell you the end result, and then I will explain a bit what is in the background, as well as, of course, Tyler and I will guide you exactly through that background. But basically, in essence, what you will be able to achieve at the end is send the invoice that you get on your email to the chatbot, and then the chatbot will give you back the summary. So that's it. This happens in it's not even a matter of minutes, it's more a matter of seconds. So what happens in the end is, in the back, is that the chatbot communicates to the Nordoon, sends the invoice, and then AI agents compare the invoice to the internal database where the POs are, the PO numbers and the SKU codes, and then it flags the errors or the mismatches, sends that back to the chatbot, and then the chatbot gives you kind of a summarized result of what the AI agents found. So without any further ado, let's get straight into it. Tyler will start this off by showing you Power Automate in action. So Tyler, I'm giving it over to you.
Thank you, Veronica. You can see my screen. Great. So we're going to start in the Copilot Studio. This is where we create Copilots. And so we have our Nordoon invoice reconciliation agent or Copilot. So when creating a chatbot, there's many different ways to get its information. For this, for the purpose of this, we're really just focused on one type of area, and that's invoice reconciliation. So I'm not adding any type of knowledge base or any more details with that. I'm really just focused on a topic, and the topic in this case is just getting an attachment and getting it over to the AI service. So, and typically when you have a topic, it's going to channel that conversation, and you normally start with key trigger phrases. So we're going to be using the phrase reconcile invoice, or help with reconciling an invoice as a trigger phrase. And then when it hears that or sees that, we're going to pose a question. So in this case, we're going to say, attach your invoice. You want help reconciled. And to satisfy the question, we're going to look to upload a file and receive that file. And we're saving it in a variable called var uploaded file. And it's a file type of a file, which unfortunately doesn't allow us to work with further down in the chat, which we need to do. So I created another variable here. This one's called var converted file, and this is a file type of a string. And to get the file contents, we're actually looking up something called the system.activity.channel data, and then we're converting it to JSON, which we'll convert it into a string. And that's going to allow us to work with it further down in our chat. So once we receive the file, we're going to inform the user that we're starting to work on it. And now we're going to be using Power Automate as the integrator between the chatbot and the AI service, the Nordoon AI service. So we're going to receive take the var converted file, and we're going to send it into Power Automate. And Power Automate can only accept a string, at least at this point, which is why we needed to change the variable tape earlier in the chat. So if we go to our flow, we're going to receive our string from our chatbot, and it's called Copilot input. And then the next step is we're creating a variable called var file name, and this is going to be a string. And the variable is going to look, well, what we're looking for is the file name that's coming from the chatbot. So in the text, it's JSON, and we're looking through the JSON and trying to identify the essentially the original attachment .name, which is going to give us our file name. So now that we have our file name, we want to get the content of the file, and we're going to be deploying this chatbot to Microsoft Teams. And when you attach a file in Teams, it actually gets saved to your OneDrive. So we're going to look for that file in the OneDrive, and it always has the same root directory called Microsoft Team Chat Files. We're going to do a / for the file path, and then we're going to use our variable for the file name, which will also include the extension. So that'll give us our full file name and path. So now that we have the contents of our file, we want to be able to send that to the AI service for reconciliation. And to do that, we're going to use a compose action where we're going to write some JSON, and these are the requirements for sending the content to the AI service for the API to work. And so we have our name, which is just, I gave it a name, invoice extraction, not that important. And then input file name. I'm not even using the original file name, doesn't matter, test file. Meme type here is important. We're sending a file that's a PDF, so we need to confirm that. And then the base 64, so we need to convert the file into base 64 in order for the AI service to work with it. So to do that, we're going to take our file content from our previous action, and then use the function base 64 in the expression to convert it to base 64. And then it's important to note that I got this. This is the file structure that's based on the API from the Nordoon service. And there's documentation in there that you can look up for that. Okay, so next we're going to send our content, our file content, to the AI service to be reconciled. And we have our URL endpoint. This is the endpoint for the specific service that we're calling on in the Nordoon service. Again, it's provided by Nordoon in their system. We're going to use a post request, or essentially we're sending it. It's not actually a request. We need to provide an AI key to authenticate this post. This is something we also get through the AI service, or sorry, through the Nordoon service, based on the setup. And then we're going to be taking the body from our compose action, which is here, or the outputs for that. And that's what we're going to be sending. So that'll provide the file content to be reconciled. So when we send a post to the AI service, it's actually going to give a reply, an automatic reply. And that's going to come back in the body of our post. And we want to capture that, so we're going to do a parse JSON. And we're going to grab the content here. We're going to look for the HTTP post request, and we want the body. And within the body, we only want to see what the job ID is. So again, we're going to compose a little bit of JSON here to type object. We're focused on the job underscore UUID, and it's a type string. So this is the specific job that's being run for our request, so that we can retrieve the information coming up and further down in our flow. So once the job gets sent, it does take time to process the reconciliation. So on average, for at least the file that I've been sending, it takes about 25 to 27 seconds. So I did a delay here for 30 seconds to give enough time for the flow to before it sends the request, to ensure that the reconciliation is complete. So here we're doing a HTTP request. This time it's going to be a GET request. We're going to use the exact same URL endpoint, the exact same API headers for the authentication. But this time we're going to be doing a query specifically for the job underscore UUID. And we are going to get that from our parse JSON here in the dynamic content here, parse JSON. So that's going to retrieve the results of our reconciliation, all of the different components of the reconciliation. And we're going to parse that. So we're going to take the body of our GET, HTTP GET request, and then I did several tests before, and that's where I got the results of the request, which comes back in JSON. So I was able to take that, copy it, and I would paste it here in the JSON payload. And that gives us our schema so that we can receive it for any type of invoice. And then there, again, it takes the entire result of the reconciliation, but we're really only interested here in our structured email reply, which is kind of the summary of the reconciliation. And we're going to take that here and we're going to feed it into another string called PA underscore output. And so we get that from our parse JSON GET. And as you can see, there's all kinds of different pieces to the JSON, but we're looking for the structured email reply. So that's our final response, and we're going to provide that back to our chatbot. So here is our output from Power Automate. We're using, it is a string, and it's called the PA underscore output. So now that we've gotten our response back, we're going to provide a message to the user saying that we've completed it, and then we're providing the details in the variable string here, PA output. And that's the entire flow. And then we would deploy our agent here into Microsoft Teams, and now Veronica can explain the details on the AI service from Nordoon.
Yes, thank you so much, Tyler. So I'll lead you through the second part of our webinar. And here, what I want you to understand first is that we could only process the invoice, but what AI agents can do, which is even more impressive, is they can take the invoice and compare it to the purchase orders. So let's say here, I have a library with purchase orders. So here I have a purchase order number, SKU, quantity, price. And so you can see that this is one purchase order and all the pertaining data to that purchase order. Same goes, this is another one, and then all the data here. So what the AI agents will do is basically take an invoice like this, where you can see, so this is the invoice number. We're not strictly interested in that at the moment, but here is the PO number, which interests us more, and it matches this PO number. So what we want is the AI agent to go over the invoice, check to which purchase order it pertains, which is this one, and then cross-check if quantities and prices match. So it may seem simple because this file is only a couple of purchase orders. It's not that many, but imagine having like hundreds of purchase orders. So let me guide you through the app. So the first thing that you will have to do, so this is where you would start at the Nordoon platform. And then the first thing you would want to do is create an integration. So here, and since I have all of my data in the in Excel file, I would want to create a lookup table and upload my file here. So this is my library with all the POs. And then I would upload it here. You can see all the data is here. And then you would want to create it. Since I've already created it, I won't finish. But then what you want to do when you're first starting off to create your template is the best thing is to go under new template. You can find finance and then just do this one. We have a bunch of pre-built templates. You can just use this one and customize it, but I'll go over the one that I've already built in advance so we don't waste too much time. So here at the beginning, so step 1 is basically, so to give you a bit more of understanding, is we are building this template in order to give AI agents as much context as possible. So this is basically, these are the instructions. So a template is an instruction for the AI agents. So in the step 1, we want customer information, and we'll get that from the invoice. So in the step 1, the AI agent will take the invoice, so the one we have here, and get all the data we want. You can have more data, you can have less. This is just the amount I have. You can always add some or remove some. Now in the second step, we also want, you can see I named it invoice information, also the information from the invoice. So I have SKU code, item names, quantity, item price, and total price. Now, if you can see, quantity from lookup and item price from lookup look a bit different. And that's because we want to have, besides quantity column, we want to have a column right next to it where we want to ask the AI agents to compare. So we get this quantity from the invoice and we get this quantity from our lookup table that we uploaded. So from our master file. Here you would choose lookup. And then here you choose the lookup table. So this is what mine was named. And then the value. So in this instance, I want the value to be quantity. Here, we're just giving some context to the AI agents. So because as far as for now, all they know is that we want this document and this value from the document. But as you know, there's multiple quantities from multiple purchase orders. So we're telling to the AI agents, okay, we want this PO number, so this particular purchase order number that we have in the step 1, we want it to be equal to the PO number in our table. Now, the second step is not necessary, but it's always nice to give a bit more context just so AI agents don't get confused. So this is kind of just to make sure we're matching SKU codes to the SKU codes in the table. So there's really no doubt which purchase order we mean. Now, here, it's the exact same thing for the price. So this is the library. The only thing that's different is that we now want the price value, but we're also matching POs, matching SKUs. Okay, so in our third step, what we're getting from here is the data from the lookup table. So this step here, you can see it's a lookup step, and we want our AI agents just to give us everything that can be found in the lookup. You can skip this one, but I think it's nice to have some structure so you can have a bit of an overview. You don't have to go back and forth through your Excel file or whichever file you have to search for what you want. Now, here is where the fun begins. This is really interesting. So we want to get an explanation, because who wants to go through hundreds of quantities, check each one if they are which one are okay, which one are mismatched. So we just want the AI agent to give us an explanation, a bit of an overview, what he found. So here in the guidelines, I put a one really short sentence that I want one sentence summary about quantities and prices, since I'm focusing on that. And then this is where the real automation begins. So this is kind of a full circle moment. We can get a structured email response that can be sent directly to the supplier. So you don't have to copy and paste this response. This can be automated in a way that AI agents go through all the documents, cross-check your invoices with the POs, then based on what they found, the mismatches, they can create a structured email reply and then send that email reply directly to your supplier or your customer. So that's all from my side. Now I'm giving it back to Tyler, who will show us just how easy and fast it is. So this is where you get to see a live demonstration of what the agents and the chatbot are really capable of.
Thank you, Veronica. So we deployed our chatbot into Microsoft Teams. We can see our little guy here. So now we're going to pretend as if we receive an invoice that we need to have reconcile. So let's reach out to the chatbot and see if he can help us. So I need help with reconciling an invoice. Okay, so we're going to attach our file. So we have an invoice here in PDF that we're going to submit. So we get our response back saying it's working on it. So if we go to our Power Automate flow, we should see that it's been kicked off. So we can see here that it's running. And if we come over to the AI service, we can see here that it's been started. So, and then we can, these are the different steps. We can follow that through. So now it's completed. So we should get a response back from the chatbot saying the result.
Wow.
Here we go. So it has identified 4 discrepancies or 4 line items where there are discrepancies. In some cases it was quantity, in some cases it was price. So we can actually take a look at that result we just ran here. So it's identified, here's the ones in green that are good, the ones in red are not.
Yeah, that's perfect. So what you can see actually here is that you have the quantity from the lookup. So that is the one in black, that is the purchase order quantity. And then the quantity from our invoice, the greens are the ones that match, and the reds are the ones that are mismatched. So same with item price, which is really, really nice.
Yeah. And then we have our summary. And then this is the response that we received in the chatbot here, identifying the discrepancies. And then we can also see the file that was received.
Wonderful.
Yeah, very nice.
Okay, so now I can see some questions have been coming in. Just a second. Okay, so we have one. Is the invoice reconciliation done by the chatbot? No. So as you kind of think of the chatbot that Tyler built, the Microsoft Copilot chatbot as a middleman. So what you're doing is you're communicating to the chatbot to communicate to Nordoon. So all the processing of the data is done through Nordoon. You could see that in the Nordoon platform. But the chatbot, you say what you want, and then all the communication is done between the chatbot and the Nordoon platform. So you're kind of saved the hassle of having to do those multiple steps of uploading the invoice and then going through as like you saw, we could check manually. It's just you're giving the invoice and then the chatbot from the gives you the summary from Nordoon. Okay, so today you saw just a glimpse of what's possible. We focused on invoice reconciliation, but AI automation can handle really, truly all kinds of complex workflows. So in our last webinars, we did warranties. You can find that on our YouTube channel. You can watch it, and we'll definitely be hosting more webinars like this. So stay tuned for more sessions like this and practical use cases. So we try to take use cases that are useful to you, that's something you can actually apply to your day-to-day workflow. This live stream remains available and will be available on YouTube and on LinkedIn. You can rewatch it or share it with your friends, colleagues, whoever you think might benefit from this. I would like to thank you again for joining us. I would like to thank Tyler again for being my guest, my co-host. So you can test our tool with the link here. You can build a chatbot. And I hope to see you at our next webinar. Take care, and we'll see you soon. Bye.